Hey, what's going on, everyone? Nick from Practically Tactical here. I'm at the Alliance CQB Sustainment here in February, still February of 2022. Here's the next team that's about to do a run. Hey, Paul, you'll actually see him later in this video. So good luck on your run, guys.
Thanks. Hey, people.
So what I want to talk about in this video is why you as concealed carriers should take CQB training. So myself, Tim, Jesse, Paul, are going to kind of talk to you guys about what you can get out of CQB training for concealed carry citizens. So again, we're here at the Van S facility here with Alliance Police Training. Amazing place. It's like 1.2 million square feet, rooms and problems and all sorts of things that we got to solve here, whether it's night vision, low light, we can turn the lights on, and we can do all this in the middle of the day. Amazing, amazing facility. So what we'll be doing in this video is talking about the key aspects you can take from CQB training for your everyday, regular concealed carry life. As Tim will talk about here shortly, is CQB for us as the everyday citizen is not the mission in itself. We're not going to go out and do a CQB mission. However, CQB can be a very useful tool for us in our regular lives, to where if something were to happen, there are a lot of aspects that you can take from this type of training that will help you in your everyday regular life, or heaven forbid, the worst day of your life. So in specific to this facility and this class, we actually get to utilize UTM here. So we can run slick, we can run with our gear. It adds a lot of advantages to this, and of course makes it a lot safer. You know, all you need is a nice little iPro for this type of class.
There's time to put them on their face, depending upon where you guys are at with angle
Hi, Joe.
exposure and stuff like that. Hi, Nick.
Hey, good luck, guys.
Hey guys, Tim Marshall with Defense Mechanisms and Defensive Elements. Here to talk a little bit about why civilians should take CQB training. As just a dude, a civilian, not former mil, not law enforcement, people ask me all the time, why do you spend 1,000 hours a year taking CQB classes as a student and teaching CQB classes as an instructor? And the answer is that CQB is an extremely important part of being a gun owner, understanding like how we utilize our guns, right? Like CQB teaches us different positions that our gun can be in, carry ready positions, teaches us how to move around the world. We look at the world as shapes, teaches us how to interact with those shapes, and it teaches us how to move around a partner, right? Like if you were to imagine the gunfight that you train for, I could imagine that gunfight would not happen in the most wide open of giant, you're not getting in a gunfight in a football field, right? There'll be things there. And so CQB teaches us how to move around those things. And in that gunfight, you probably won't be the only good guy there. There'll be other people there. So CQB teaches us to work our gun around other people. And so I think civilians should take CQB, not because of all the cool gear and shit, which we'll talk about in a second, but it teaches us to use our guns to safely manipulate around people and to work around objects and things in structure. In whatever gunfight you are envisioning, that's why you carry a gun, it's going to have people there and there's going to be stuff. And so CQB is an important skill set on how to work around those people and that stuff. As far as the gear goes, the gear is, as we do live fire CQB training, the gear is required safety precaution, right? I don't train in a helmet and a plate carrier because I think that my fight will involve a helmet and a plate carrier. I train in a helmet and a plate carrier because that's required safety equipment for the ranges I train at. And sometimes when I'm training, like this weekend as a UTM class, I'll wear this gear just so that I'm continue to be comfortable with it as I train live fire classes. The gear is it's just required part of the deal. And sure, sometimes it's fun. There's guys that come to class in full kit and full combat uniforms. There's obviously an enjoyable part. It's fun, but what it really is about is this is just the safety gear that we need so that we can come here and work our firearms manipulations around a partner and around shapes, obstacles, stuff. The real world has stuff and people. We need to learn how to fight around that stuff. For a long time, I would come to CQB classes and it would be about CQB. Like I would be learning CQB to be good at CQB. And it took me a while, maybe a year, to realize that the skill sets that we're learning in CQB, the learning how to fight around people, how to fight around obstacles, it's not the end goal in and of itself isn't to be good at manipulating my rifle or good at taking the shape the right way or opening a door the right way. What it does is it gives me a tool set, a skill, resources that I can pull and rely on, procedures I can use that if I ever have to solve a problem, that involves clearing a room, entering a doorway, working with a partner, I now have tools I can rely on to do that with a high level of excellence versus, hope and a prayer. I tend to think that hope's not a tactic, right? So it's not CQB for CQB's sake, right? It's CQB for that bump in the night that I have to get to my kids' room to make sure that they're safe. That I want to safely get myself and my wife to my kids' room without muzzling my wife. Knowing how to navigate through the space. And so if you start to think about the problems in your life, again, the reasons you carry a gun or the reasons you have guns for home defense, there's going to be people involved in that. There's going to be obstacles involved in that. And CQB gives us the tools to move around those things so we can accomplish the actual mission, which in a bump in the night would be to get to my kids and make sure that they're safe. Or maybe to get my kids out of the house and make sure that we safely exit, or whatever that mission is for you, whatever mission you're preparing for or imagining. CQB is the tool set that allows me to accomplish it with excellence, not the mission in itself.
Good luck, boys.
What's going on, guys? Jesse from Defensive Elements and Defense Mechanisms here. One of the most common questions we get at training is, how is this applicable for everyday citizens, guys that aren't active in military, LEO, on SWAT teams? How does this apply to just everyday citizens? And one of the first and kind of biggest things is, if you're just getting all of your training on the square range, is you have really no environmental factors, right? Once in a while you might have to deal with some weather, things like that. But what you aren't dealing with is angles of exposure. So when we take a look at like the facility we're at now, one thing that you'll see is there's multiple compounding angles of exposure, and that with every step that I take, it is opening and shutting down some of those different angles, right? Things that we have to deal with in the environment may be photonic barriers, intermittent lighting, and just how we end up dealing with all of those issues. So the next key component that the everyday citizen is going to get out of this, or anybody really, is just the aspect of decision making and decision making under pressure. On the square range, all the decisions are basically made for you, right? You're told where to stand, you're standing shoulder to shoulder on a line, you've got a big giant berm in the background, the target's presented at you at full value, and on the up or gun command, you're told when to bring the gun up and shoot. What we find in realistic scenarios, right, in everyday life is a lot of those decisions are on you to make, right? What is your background? How do we clear that background up? Does the person that I'm interrogating right now actually deserve to be shot, or is there something else I can do? Is there other skills that I have? We need to make sure that, again, the decisions are putting us at the forefront of priority of life, right? Or things that we hold higher than our own lives value. Another big aspect of this is communication. Oftentimes people think that when we talk about communications, we're talking about going over comms with our teammates, right? Using our push to talks, things like that. And what I'm talking about is actually just clear, concise communication to not only help your processing ability, right? If I'm overloading and giving out multiple tasks, it's slowing down my actual brain power to think of the problem at hand, but also to relay that information clear and concisely to other people, right? Especially, we don't want to add stress to an already stressful situation by overloading their brain. So being able to just under pressure deliver clear, concise communication effectively to either suspect control or to within your team, another very important aspect to this.
Good luck practicing, guys. Jesse, teach them everything you know. Oh, hey, look at that. It is Paul Carlson from Safety Solutions Academy. Just hanging out over here, huh?
Just hanging out, man.
On your treasure?
My treasure pile. I'm like the dragon. This is all my gold.
So, question for you, Paul.
Yeah.
Often in this training, a lot of people want to go strictly to one man and say, like, well, why would I ever take a 2-man or 4-man CQB class when I'm only going to be by myself? How would you answer that question?
Well, I think that the biggest thing is that you have to operate around other people. It's certainly possible that you could have some kind of a life-threatening encounter when you're by yourself, but most of us spend time socially with other people. So whether that's family or friends, loved ones, you need to know and understand how it is to be able to safely and properly manipulate your weapons around other people. And having teammates in a 2-man or a 4-man class gives you some ideas about how it is you might be able to do that. So that's one of the biggest reasons. When we're talking about CQB in general, a lot of people question, what possible benefit it might have for someone that's not in law enforcement or the military. And I understand where that question comes from, because when we're doing CQB, we might be wearing plate carriers, helmets, fancy gear that doesn't apply to everyday life. Well, that's oftentimes just personal protection equipment, right? And if we can get past the quote costume or the LARPing that people think that's being done during CQB, we really start to get into the meat and potatoes of it. And you hear people all the time say that you need to be thinking with your gun. I don't know a lot of square range training that requires any thinking. And I think it's really important to have thinking embedded in what you're doing. I look at the brain as a set of file cabinets, right? It's, you've got a file cabinet for, love, friends, and family. You've got a file cabinet for work in your profession. You've got a file cabinet for just general thinking while you operate during the day. And then you might have a file cabinet for, your skills with your firearm. When you're on the square range, and you can fill that file cabinet full of things. But when you find yourself in a life-threatening encounter of some kind, you're in your dealing with fear and anxiety and trying to figure out what to do file cabinet. For most of us, that's probably not very full. We don't deal with violence on a daily basis. When you're stuck in that file cabinet that's all about survival, it does not connect up to this file cabinet over here that has all of your skills stored in it. And so what happens when we see people that have to start making decisions, start thinking, start, just deciding what to do, those firearm skills all of a sudden degrade. It's almost as if they aren't there. Accuracy suffers, speed suffers. So when you're training CQB and you're forcing yourself to work your firearms, whether that's a carbine or a handgun, under the stress of making life-threatening, life-saving decisions, it builds those skills in the proper file cabinet. It puts them in the file for survival. And that's really what we need.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're interested in having a lot more important training topics, check out our Patreon. There's a link down below. Also, be sure to check out all the training links and all of our sponsors, links, and discount codes down below. Hopefully, we'll see you guys at a class. Hopefully, we'll see you out here at Alliance Police Training. We're out here absolutely all the time taking classes. So get out, get some good CQB training, and we'll see you at the next class.